Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting stuff in the heavyweight division. We're going to talk about my main man, Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, because, his career is in an interesting place right now. We're roughly just under a month away from his American debut his ESPN debut against Tom Schwartz at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. So, big time for his career, but what's funny is, Tyson Fury's career was at the ultimate high after his amazing performance in the fight with Deontay Wilder, which ultimately wound up in a very controversial draw. People universally recognized him as the winner of the fight, even though he didn't get the win. And I'd never seen a fight where a guy gets jobbed on the scorecard so badly where universally people say, this guy won the fight. The only fight I can think of a recent memory where people have no qualms about who won the fight was maybe Jaime Munguia versus Dennis Hogan, but that fight was not anything close to the level of what Wilder Fury was as far as importance and significance to the sport of boxing. So he was on an ultimate high after that. Even the UK had got behind him. A lot of my UK subscribers who had hated him for years were now saying, oh, we like Tyson Fury, and they're behind him because of the story with mental health and what he came back from and losing the weight. But now he's signed with ESPN, and a lot of people have gotten frustrated with him because they're starting to see some residue of maybe the Tyson Fury they didn't like, kind of creep its way back in. So he signed a deal with ESPN, and it was a deal that was really supposed to take his career to another level, and it very may well still do that. But at the present moment, at the time I'm shooting this video, public perception is down on Tyson Fury, but that can change at the job of hat, as we know, in this very fickle society. So yeah, Bob Arum came out recently and he said that Tyson Fury is going to attract U.S. fight fans the way George Foreman did. Now, for those of you who don't know, Bob Arum he played a big role in promoting George Foreman in the second half of his career when he eventually became the oldest heavyweight champion who ever lived, and when he knocked out Michael Moore. And he played a role in guiding Foreman to the title, which ultimately led to other opportunities outside of boxing. And as history would say, as history would tell you, there was a thing called the George Foreman Grill, which he did quite well for himself on. I think he sold his stake in the George Foreman Grill for like $250 million, like $250 million. So he's basically saying that Tyson Fury can have that same sort of impact on the American sports culture, sports landscape. And I just want to read that to you guys and just give my thoughts on it. So here's what he said, I quote, When I met him and talked with him immediately, in my head two names came, and one was Muhammad Ali and the other was George Foreman. He can talk like Ali and he can resonate like George Foreman. He will not be known only as a fighter. The goal is to get the mom and pop follow him. People that are interested in what goes on in America, even if they are not sports fans or boxing fans. They will be attracted to him like they were with George Foreman. Now, that is high praise from Bob Arum. And look, as far as U.S. boxing channels here in the YTBC, I am probably one of the biggest Tyson Fury supporters there is. I love Tyson Fury. I got a Tyson Fury T-shirt. I love him. I think he's a great fighter. I think there's not a man born from his mother that can beat Tyson Fury. I believe and I echo the words of the late great, and may God rest his soul, Emanuel Stewart, who said it himself when he was alive before Tyson Fury was anything in boxing. He said that Tyson Fury will go on to become the next dominant champion in boxing along the lines of Lennox Lewis and Vladimir Klitschko. I second those things and I echo those sentiments, but being a great heavyweight and being a commercial success that transcends the sport are two totally different things. And does Tyson Fury have the personality to do those things? Absolutely. He does have the personality to do that. He's got the personality to captivate the entire sports world. And he might still do that. But the thing is, he's got to be able to deliver in the ring. And I'm not saying that I like boxing, so I can appreciate the guys who knock people out, and I can appreciate the inside fighting, and I can appreciate the guys who get on the outside and box. Keep the range, slip, move, feint. I can appreciate all styles of boxing, but not everybody's me. Not everybody's like many of you who watch this video. People want to see casual Joe Schmo who doesn't know anything about boxing. He wants to see knockouts, and let's have it right. Has Tyson Fury? When was the last time Tyson Fury really knocked somebody out? And I'm gonna tell you this, man. People are expecting. A lot of people who know boxing, they're expecting this fight with Tom Schwartz to be an absolute stinker. a fight where Tyson Fury fights on his back foot, keeps his range, and gets an easy points decision over an inexperienced, untested, undefeated opponent, cannon fodder opposition. But what he really needs to do in this fight, more than any of these fights, is he needs to look sensational. He needs to deliver a statement performance. He has to knock this guy out. He has to stop him. He has to announce himself to the American audience at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas and say, look, I'm Tyson Fury, and this is who I am. And if he fails to off the bat, it's going to be a tough start for him. But he's got a 5-fight deal with ESPN, I believe, something like 5 fights. So look, he's in a good position. He's got the biggest platform in the sports world behind him in ESPN. He's got the Disney Corporation behind him. For those of you who don't know, ESPN is part of Disney, so Tyson Fury has Disney behind him. He has ESPN behind him. He's got a big machine behind him. And now it's really, for the first time in his career, he doesn't have to be on the short end of the stick. He can actually go out there, perform his best, and get rewarded for it, and maybe turn himself into the A side. But it's going to take time, it's going to take work, and he has to deliver. We can't see inconsistencies. We can't see him lose discipline. We can't see him fall into depression and go out and just go off the radar again. He has to stay consistent, which is something he hasn't really shown to be much in his career. But he seems to be in a better place now, so we'll monitor it as it goes along. But as to if he can become the next George Foreman, I mean, that's big, because basically what Arum is essentially saying is that Tyson Fury is going to go down as one of the biggest stars in boxing history. And because that's what George Foreman is. I mean, for Christ's sakes, people, there's so many people who don't even know anything about boxing who know who George Foreman is just because of the George Foreman grill. And obviously there are lots of people, millions of people that know him for his boxing exploits as well, because he was an Olympian. He was in some important fights. So there are some parallels between him and Foreman in the sense that they're both in a great era for heavyweight boxing. Foreman was fortunate because in his prime, he was able to be in a great era for heavyweights, where he got to fight the likes of Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali, guys like that. And then when he was older, fighting in his second career, fighting guys like Evander Holyfield and Michael Moore and things like that. So, there's parallels between him and Fury, but I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm gonna look at the camera and let you guys know straight away. Tyson Fury is got his work cut out for him here in America, because I mean, forget him as a sports figure for one. It's hard enough for boxing in this country to get attention from the mainstream media in general. I mean, it's not like the UK where you have Sky Sports and boxing is covered day to day as a mainstream sport. Here in America, the big fights only get coverage, really. So it's the heavyweight fights, when Pacquiao fights, or Mayweather's fighting, Canelo, when he fights, he gets publicity. But outside of that, you're not hearing. That's why Terence Crawford, he struggles to sell out here. That's why Errol Spence, he's on the way up, but it's an uphill battle for him as well. It's not an easy market to crack, and so few fighters right now in the sport have conquered it. Canelo Alvarez is one of them, because he's Mexico's biggest star, so he has a built-in fan base. But aside from your Mexican stars, there really hasn't been any fighters from America or England or any other country for that matter who have truly conquered, I mean truly, undoubtedly conquered and transcended the American boxing market. And Bob Arum is trying to tell me that I love the guy, but a feather-fisted 6'9" slick boxer who hasn't knocked anybody out in years is going to become one of the biggest stars in the history of boxing along the lines of George Foreman. That's what he's telling me. And look, I don't doubt that. I think Tyson Fury has a personality for it, but this deal with ESPN, it's put another network roadblock, and there's already so many complications to get these big heavyweight fights done. So it's just a matter of, can they get the big heavyweight fights done? And if they do, then that's when I believe Tyson Fury will go down as one of the biggest stars in boxing. But either way, it's going to be a hard sell for him. But I look forward to seeing over the next couple of months how Arum, Frank Warren, ESPN, Disney, and all parties involved decide to move Tyson Fury, as he is now a part of ESPN. And we'll see, man. We'll definitely be revisiting this one down the line. But he's got his work cut out for him, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm skeptical of just how well he'll do here, because it's so damn hard. It's incredibly tough to crack and transcend the American sports market right now in boxing, because really the only guy that's been able to do it has been active guy that's been able to do it are like Canelo and Manny Pacquiao. And Pacquiao's got skin in the game. Canelo's got skin in the game, but he's Mexican, so you know that it makes it easier for him. Fury, it's gonna be a lot harder. So that's what it is. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think Tyson Fury can break out here in the American market and attract fans the way George Foreman did to the sport? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.